Are you ready for one of the most exhilarating furry anime to ever be made? I know I am. Arthur requested this, so let's dig into it. It's BNA, aka Brand New Animal! Shut up. BNA was brought to us by Studio Trigger, a company founded by two former Gainax employees who've had a hand in works like Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. It's written by Kazuki Nakashima and directed by Yo Yoshinari. The anime is also licensed out by Netflix, who can bring out new ideas just as fast as dumping them. And it first aired on their streaming service before jumping over to TV. While there is an English dub to this series, I've only been able to obtain the Japanese version. And since there are only 12 episodes total, with no signs of a season 2, I can try and breeze through this, barring, well... So let's see just how insane this series can get. This is BNA. Well, this opening is pretty balling. Too bad I can't show much. So our story is set in an alternate Earth where humans and beastmen coexist. But even still, there's a lot of fantastical racism. And you'd think that the beastmen would have some support from the furry community. We're also introduced to one of our main characters, Michiru Kagemori, a beast woman who's making her way to a sanctuary for her kind, Anima City. But first, she has to avoid being hunted by humans who were able to track her down somehow. Fair enough. But anyway, she's rescued by what appears to be a scientist woman named Marie Itami. She looks human at first, but she soon reveals her true form. A giant mink! And that's why you don't mess with the animals. Of course, Marie is the sort of person who expects to be paid for her help, but at least Michiru reaches Anima City. The place seems like a regular human settlement, yet it's crawling with all these wolf-like beings who can't wait to eat her. Just kidding. It's a festival to mark the 10-year anniversary of the city's founding. And despite tensions running high with humans, these beastmen can at least live freely here. You've been around for that long? Well, I suppose that's alternate history for you, but I'd really like to know how this happened. So far, we only know that this city was built due to an agreement between its mayor, named Barbara Rose, and the Japanese Prime Minister, Shiramizu. Too bad the latter makes it very clear that he opposes the beastmen, and will use his office to make their lives difficult. But they've been relatively chill thus far. How bad can they be? I'd say any human could do that. While trying to get her wallet back, Michiru doesn't realize that someone is sabotaging this large monitor until it's too late. She has to go save an old man before he gets flattened. But thankfully they are both saved by the Wolfman, Shiro. He initially accuses her of sabotage, but then chases after the other suspect after getting it sent. So through this wicked sequence, he figures out who the perpetrators are, and he kicks their ass in the most trigger way possible. Damn, why does he sound so cool? Ah.
獣の誇りをなくしたお前に鹿の誇りは必要ない。やめてくれ。そのザケは。
Hot damn! This makes me want to actually see Kill la Kill. Shiro's also someone who takes no prisoners, but Michiru begs him to stop. When he doesn't listen, she unleashes some unknown power that mostly stems from being a tanuki. This causes Shiro to call her a traitor to her kind, but then we learn something important about Michiru.
人間はみんな一緒だ。
違う。だって私も人間なの。そう。私は人間だったの。
And that was just the first episode. I'll try not to go on too much, but just know that beastmen can switch between their animal and human forms. The next episode continues with Michiru's claims about once being human, but she can't prove anything since her student credentials got stolen, so she's forced to comply with regulations. But not to worry, Marie tells Michiru that she could get her stuff back, as long as she helps some orphans with their reading and writing skills. Being taken care of by a bunch of gangsters doesn't seem like a bad deal, and it even shows more of Michiru's kindness to others. But as Shiro arrives in the area, it seems that the women in charge of the orphans are in a bind with another gang. Even in Anima City, the law of the jungle holds sway.
弱い者はより弱い者を踏みにじって生きていく。ここはそういうところさ。
But Michiru isn't one to be pushed around, so if no one else is gonna help them, they have to do everything themselves. It's here she learns that her shape-shifting powers can affect any part of her body, even her arms. So she breaks everyone out, but then needs Shiro to bail her out once the gang closes in on her. The children are safe at least, and the bad guys are being arrested, but Michiru is beginning to find this sanctuary city cold and unwelcoming.
何がミスは犯さないよ。自分の間違いが分かった。こんな街も獣人も大嫌い。さっさと病気治してこんな街出ていくから。
You know, if you really feel like that, how do you feel about the kids you saved? Do you hate them too? Anyway, episode 3 reveals some of our female protagonists' past. She and her friend Nizuna had a good life, it seems, until the latter was taken away after she turned into a beast woman. Michiru then later gets locked into a closet by Shiro since she doesn't want the other beastmen to know that humans could turn into one of them. But, you know, the beastmen of this series can adopt human forms. Why would that be a problem? If anything, wouldn't humans be more concerned with turning into beastmen? Unless it turns out there were never actually humans, and they might have been beastmen all along, or what if— I'm so confused! Anyway, Mayor Rose asks Shiro to investigate the bombing of some medical trucks bound for the Sylvesta Medical Center. Michiru wants to go there too, because she wants to learn more about her disease, as she thinks it is. She's gotta break out of the locker first. So on top of limb manipulation, she can also turn her body into other animal parts. Rose agrees to look into her problem in exchange for our protagonist investigating the bombing attack. And as for the pharmaceutical company,
シルバスタ製薬は世界有数の資産家シルバスタ財閥のグループ会社だ。獣人にも人間と同等の権利をという市長の言葉に賛同し、アニマシティにも多額の資金援助をしている。
This better not be like Umbrella! Shiro is able to find the other bombs with his super sniffer, while Michiru enters the medical center to confront the gang responsible for the attack. She's spotted by the baddies, and it seems the doctors with them know who she is. They then blow up the data center to cover their tracks, and Shiro can't track them because there is no scent apparently. But before they question the chief doctor who got caught, the latter reports his findings to the company president, Alan Sylvesta.
病院のデータは別施設で管理していたため無事でした。
そう、それは良かった。事故現場の復旧は迅速に。費用はいくらかかっても構わない。
And yes, in the English dub, Alan is voiced by Robbie Damon. So it's literally Goro Pancake Boy Akechi as another villain. Anyway, our main duo learns that the chief was behind the explosion, and the doctor tries to escape by becoming a rhino. Michiru gets taken hostage, I really hope this doesn't become a thing, so Shiro has to pull off another moment of awesome.
獣人の誇りを捨てた貴様にその角は無用やめてくれ角だけは
Anyway, Michiru breaks free of her captor by extending her arms, but because of her falling, she has to be saved by Shiro, again, before she hits the ground. He takes some bad damage, but he shrugs it off. Though he might seem distant, he still has a heart. Back over to the mayor, she's looking for a solution to Michiru's disease. So how about we take a break from the crime mystery noir action for some filler? Okay, it's not all filler. We do learn that beastmen exist because of a special gene called the beast factor. The animal form is determined by ancestry, and hybrids, like ligers for instance, aren't a thing. You're either taking after your mother or your father. With that out of the way, Michiru still has to put up with the limitations set for her. Maria's back to offer a workaround. For a price. And while lamenting all the things going on outside the city, Michiru notices one girl doing a live broadcast inside Anima City. And after being abducted by some other gang, it turns out this girl, Nina, is a dolphin beast woman. She really wants to explore the mainland, but who does that to a dolphin? Also, isn't this technically cannibalism? Again, they can turn into human forms. Of course, this exposition just makes Michiru miss her friendship with Nozuna. But the good news is, she finally figures out how to go back to her human form. Nina offers to accompany her back to the mainland, if only to see what the other side is like, and as they leave, we see that her father was the bald-headed gang leader we've been seeing a bunch lately. Seems he's a hardened criminal on the outside, but an overprotective dad on the inside. Well, it's a good thing this is a Beastman costume party, so the two young ladies can fit in. As for Nina... You idiots! At least these humans are cool with it. I was at least hoping to see sympathizers on the human side, but yeah, not gonna be pretty if her family finds out. Michiru feels out of place and wants to go back. However... You idiots! Dolphins are mammals! They don't have unlimited breath! Anyway, Michiru goes beast form and saves Nina. Everyone else is shocked and says nothing. But during the trip home, Nina said that she really enjoyed herself, and Michiru gets a text from her mom. Now for some more filler. Michiru wants to play basketball, see? But this is Japan, so she's taken to a baseball game instead. She enlarges her arm to throw a mean pitch. But the real news comes from these pink girls playing dirty and acting condescending. Ah, now you're starting to sound like a main character. Look at her face. That's someone who's about to wreck shit. So Michiru helps her team win the game, and her teammates want her to stick around. She's initially reluctant, given the violent nature of these games, but ends up doing it for their sake. This does at least let her demonstrate more of her ability to take on different animal traits. There is also a subplot involving Michiru's coach making gambling bets against their own team. Ouch. And we learn that he's the first Beastman to play professional baseball, and he got banned when he assaulted some bigoted opponents in the middle of a game. This was already on top of regular discrimination by fans and teammates. This experience made him jaded and cynically, obviously, but seeing Michiru play rekindles his love for the game. So he stops gambling and really puts effort into coaching his team properly. It's alright stuff, and it does show just how deep the human-animal divide is. It's also an example of Michiru changing others through her honesty and determination. It's at episode 6 where things pick up again. We start hearing about this wolf god named Ginro, who protects the Beastmen when times get rough. One of Michiru's baseball teammates gets into trouble with this one group, and right on cue, a group of Ginro worshippers, led by Boris Cliff, voiced in Japanese by Takahito Koyasu, aka freaking Dio, shows up. Boris claims that their guru is an actual descendant of Ginro, and she assumes its form to prove it. I mean, it works, but then Michiru realizes who the lady actually is. Thankfully, Nazuna hasn't forgotten Michiru, so they can talk in private. She reveals her true fox form, and says she's part of the Silver Wolf Order after being rescued by Boris. It seems like Michiru wants to help her friend turn back into a human, but Shiro won't allow this. According to him and Rose, the Order is quite the shady cult, but Michiru disregards these warnings since she trusts her old friend no matter what. After helping her meet Rose, she only learns that Nazuna only did this to secure a permanent residence for her order. There's no talk of becoming human again. So this results in some religious squabble on why they need someone to play Ginro.
だいたいやめるわけない。やっとアイドルになれたのに。アイドル？教祖ってね、アイドルなの。たくさんの獣人たちが私を崇め、称え、私に夢と希望を求めてる。それってもうアイドルでしょ?
I have a feeling that Boris is just using you, Nazuna. I mean, he's pretty creepy when he's nearby, but it seems like the Order clearly brainwashed her to the point where she doesn't think she needs friends. You know what that means.
私の友達にデースなんちゃらなんていないから!
Well, you got half a season to salvage the relationship. In the meantime, Michiru helps out this albatross beast man named Pinga, who's been trying to migrate despite government regulations. On the other side, Shiro and Rose look into the Silver Wolf Order's possible role in transforming Michiru and Nazuna. They even talk to Alan Sylvesta, who advises against keeping the Order in Anima City. He claims that the group would only stoke more racism toward the Beastmen, especially in light of attacks by terrorist groups, which Pinga might be a part of. And during a peaceful demonstration, Pinga tries to make his move before Shiro steps in to stop him. For once, Michiru gets to play the hero, as she learned how to fly thanks to Pinga's little flight earlier, but false alarm, this was just a bluff to let Pinga meet the mayor. All he wanted were tombs for his fallen friends. He's not actually a bad guy. The actual terrorist was waiting for Alan to leave the medical building, but Nazuna steps in to stop the attack in front of everyone. Now her order has both beastmen and human backers. A lot is happening on both sides. I wonder how they'll follow it up. What was that? Anyway, since support for the cult has increased thanks to the foiled attack, the cult is allowed to stay in the city. But Alan is developing something called a Beast Factor Deactivator. Hey, it even rhymes. We can only imagine that being bad, but for now, Michiru has to put up with Nazuna's group living right next to her. She's certainly becoming more aggressive. Like, is she hiding something? I don't know. Anyway, Boris has a meeting with that one rhino doctor, but it becomes apparent who he really works for.
真実が分かれば、アラン会長はただでは済まさないはずだ。お前は誰だ?
Alan is in league with the Silver Wolf Order, is he? Well, he certainly did something to him, because now the doctor starts hulking out. Now he looks more like a Spider-Man villain. Shiro tries stopping him, but is overpowered easily.
シロさん!
大丈夫だ、このくらい。
でも腕が!
I mean, he did survive a long fall before. I guess his body really is immortal. Michiru is able to help out, and together she and Shiro knock out the rhino by dropping him into a warehouse. Looks like it's over.
Shiro-san!
No, you are not fine. You got freaking impaled. What, can you really recover from that like last time? But this fight's not over yet, as the rhino becomes Carnage Kabuto, meaning the only way to stop this is for Saitama to show up and punch him. Michiru actually does her best to distract the monster, but ultimately gets caught. Again. This forces Shiro to save her, again, by unleashing his hidden power. Oh, I see. He was actually Ginro this entire time. Well, even with his new regeneration powers, the monster still gets one-shotted by Shiro. Yep, he's dead. I guess this is why there was some reluctance in letting the cult stay. But otherwise, Michiru now realizes that despite running into him a lot, she didn't bother to learn anything about Shiro. The mayor explains that he's been around for 1,000 years, and that he witnessed the end of his people after some humans hunted them down. And in a moment that would make Gainax proud, he ended up becoming a god of sorts. And from this point on, things get really dark.
獣人の能力を解析して生物兵器にできないか。そう考える国もあった。その国では獣人は捕らえられ、収容所に入れられ、人体実験を繰り返されていた。だけど、実験に利用された獣人たちの惨状を目の当たりにした彼は、研究所の人間たちを皆殺しにした。
This series has made it clear that the divide between humans and beastmen is a yawning chasm. But this is when the theme takes center stage by showing the full cruelty of humans towards those they oppress. It does explain why Shiro can be dismissive towards humans, but geez, chimera experiments? At least this series is giving off ways that this race war's been playing out, but it's not all that different from how other shows used the humans versus beastmen concept. We do see that Mara Rose is working with Alan's team on the same project, so now we have to wonder, is she really trustworthy? In episode 9, Michiru approaches Nizuna and tells her she's not the real Ginro, and that the real one is out there somewhere. This news doesn't dissuade Nizuna from dropping her disguise, since she wants to be a hopeful symbol for the Beastmen. So Michiru sulks and leaves, but not before Shiro shows her a moment of compassion.
腹が減ってると気持ちが落ち込む。物事は自分の目で見て感じて腑に落ちる答えを見つけるしかないんだ。
And at least Nizuna is a positive influence within her group, as shown with Michiru's teammate again. This stops her from abandoning her entirely, especially when she sees her old friend being abducted and taken to the medical center. Our protagonist tries to rescue her, but...
そうやって勝手に思い込んで突っ走る癖。ちっとも変わってないよね。
Turns out Nizuna came in willingly to help Alan develop a cure for their beast forms. And here's why these two teens are able to transform.
ヤバと三村が横流ししていた薬剤の中に獣医獅子薬が間違って入ってしまった。それがたまたま君たちに投与されてしまったんだ。
Good thing both blood bags made it to these two, or else we wouldn't have a series. So basically, Alan has been scheming all along to get the Silver Wolf Order into the city. He claims he wants to help Nizuna and keep her on as Ginro to dissuade other beastmen from acting out violently. He also asks Michiru to stay out of his business since he has the best intentions, but she still isn't so sure.
協力って何すればいいの？私たちがやることを邪魔しないでってこと。私たちね。
Well, if nothing else, do it for her. Either way, this meeting makes Michiru wonder about her future when she does turn back to normal. She's come to love Anima City and its denizens, and is now torn between staying there or returning home. Shiro is also concerned, and has every right to be when we see Alan consulting the Prime Minister.
日本政府にお貸ししたいものがあるんです。
Look, it's clear Alan is going to turn evil. These meetings override any benefit of the doubt I might have toward him. And again, the dub has him voiced by Pancake Boy. How could he not be evil? Anyway, in the next episode, Marie accidentally makes a guy go berserk like that rhino doctor. Also... No. This cursed image does not belong in anime form. At least Michiru and Shiro can stop this new threat without getting horned to death. But oh no, the little drone things from last episode start shooting them. These machines then take the tranquilized Beastman back into the medical center, and our heroes tail them to figure out what's going on. But too bad they run into Alan.
あれはエンゲルマシーネ。獣人保護のための医療機器だ。
医療機器？
こいつは撃たれたんだぞ。
それはすまなかった。凶暴化した獣人を保護するためのマシンなんだ。
Hardly an episode ago, you were apologizing for doing some suspicious things, and now you're doing them again. You really are Pancake Boy. You're just like an open book. Alan explains his plans for protecting this city from being destroyed, and that he came from an ancestor who destroyed Shiro's kind. But according to him, the Beastman had it coming because they destroyed themselves, through some kind of syndrome that developed through mixing with each other.
この町の獣人たちの獣因子を分析した。攻撃型脳内物質値が急激に上がっている。これ以上、この町の獣人口が増えると限界を超える。
Okay, I'm a bit conflicted with this revelation. I didn't see this twist coming, but like I've said, as someone who's seen his fair share of furry media, this feels like a recycled plot trend. So anyway, the main problem now is that by sticking so many beastmen into the same space, they'd all go berserk and get themselves killed. Exactly like Shiro's old home 1,000 years ago. Alan's answer for this is to create a cure that makes everyone human. Shiro is obviously against this, since this plan essentially erases an entire race off the face of the planet. It might not be genocide, technically, but it might as well be.
みんながああなってもいいの？殺し合ってもいいの？
黙れ！人間になるんだぞ。それも人間の手で。
それでも生き続ける方がいい。今ここを壊したらみんなが生き残る可能性もなくなっちゃう。
お前は人間に戻りたいだけだ。
そんな。
所詮は人間だ。獣人の気持ちはお前にはわからない。
Shiro then makes a getaway before the authorities can arrest him. Alan then persuades Michiru to keep his project a secret for the greater good, and she ends up meeting Nazuna once she gets home. They talk about an upcoming event that the latter will be hosting, and how it's a chance for her to be an idol like she always wanted.
ライブか。すごいな、ナズナ。もう本物のアイドルじゃん。そう、本物になるの、私。
At least their relationship is being repaired. Anyway, Mara Rose tells Shiro of her plan to disband Anima City to prevent the use of Alan's medicine, even if that means subjecting her citizens to unchecked discrimination elsewhere. She later meets with the Japanese Prime Minister to discuss that topic, because I guess this is only a Japan issue and nowhere else. But since we saw the Prime Minister be an asshole before...
これは
ニルバジールシンドロームの件は報告を受けている。すでに手は打ってあるよ。ローゼ市長、君には保護依頼が来ている。
保護？
ま、あとはあちらでうまくやるから、君はしばらく骨休めして。
It's almost like no matter what, the humans are the ultimate bad guys. For now, the girls go over possible songs for the upcoming live event, and it's oddly satisfying seeing these two be so cheery again after everything that's happened. Nazuna even plans to reveal her human self at the performance to alleviate the stress that will come from receiving the cure.
獣人も人間も別に変わんない。同じように生きていける。それを一番言えるのは私たちじゃん？
If only she knew. As for Rose, she breaks out of jail with her assistant since she's an agile naked mole rat. Shiro is also standing by with that gang leader in case they need to move people out of the city, but he gets wind of what Nazuna is going to do, so he heads back to the city. Meanwhile, Michiru is still worried about Shiro, and she even mimics his scent detection skills to track him down. Turns out he's gonna shoot Nazuna, but she intervenes just as the concert begins. Now I'm just wishing for a furry idol anime, a more modern one anyway, so our two protagonists do a bit of catching up. It's heartful to say the least, and it seems to reach Shiro as he warns her that Nazuna's stunt will activate the Beastman's berserk state, not slow it down. So to stop this from happening, Shiro tries to enlist the help of the police before all hell breaks loose. Michiru also hijacks the Ginro statue and convinces Nazuna not to go through with her confession. It works, but Alan sends his drones out anyway, and Boris spills her protege's dirty secret for all to see. And just like that, nearly everyone goes through that berserk state caused by Nervassal syndrome, just in time for the drones to shoot them all with tranquilizers. Shiro also starts going nuts, so it's up to Michiru to snap him out of it. Never mind! Our final episode has Shiro returning to normal, somehow, and realizing what he's done. You had us worried, you know, even if this does help out later. So as the good guys reconvene with the mayor, we confirm that Alan wants all the Beastmen dead for the Prime Minister's sake. As for why Shiro turned back from being berserk, turns out Michiru's blood can reverse Nervassal syndrome entirely. This means that the Beastmen can stay as they are without worrying about their rage state messing things up. Michiru follows Shiro in hunting down Alan. Nazuna has to calm down the Beastmen in the meantime, and thankfully her blood has the same rage-suppressing properties. She even helps some children escape before confronting Boris. He's still a major creep towards her, and so she gives her a mega punch in response, which triggers his berserk state. And I didn't think snakes can do that. But anyway, final boss time. First, Alan reveals his plan to use the vaccine on the Beastmen as a whole, and despite learning how the Beastmen don't need the vaccine to tame their wilder side, he attacks our heroes anyway. Okay, we'll learn how he threw her in a minute, but first, Michiru does what she can to destroy a bunch of drones, while Shiro goes to confront Alan. Alan shows off that he's as strong as a Beastman. In fact, he is a Beastman. How is that possible? There's only so many ways that I can say, what the fuck, people? So, Alan is apparently a pure-blooded Beastman, whose kind was revered as gods, while Shiro is only a hybrid from his Beastman ancestors mixing with each other.
1000人の狼獣人の血を集めその体に注ぎ込む。
そうしてこの力を得ることができる。
君にはたまたま同じ現象が起きたようだね。だが所詮は雑種の血を集めてできたまがいものに過ぎない。
多様な獣因子の混在がストレスによる暴走を引き起こすんだ。
僕たち純血種はかからない。そして今まで通り僕たち純血種が世界を支配する。
So what you're saying is, interspecies relationships are bad, and controlling others with a god complex is good. Sure, okay, at least he knows how to make a good building explosion. To hell with you, Michael Bay. Now remember Michiru's video recording? Well, it turns out Shiro's howling as Ginro also deactivates Navasal syndrome. Sorta. Makes them calm anyway. With that knowledge, she plans on broadcasting the video throughout Anima City to stop the widespread chaos and devastation. Of course, Alan beats her to the spot, but Michiru isn't giving up.
女の子とか獣人とか人間とかそういうのもほんとどうでもいい。何が普通かは自分で決めるし、どう生きるかも何が美しいかも自分で決める。人間になりたい獣人がいるのなら人間になればいい。でも選ぶ権利を奪うあなたのやり方はマジで最高にキモいから。
Well said. Can you hit him now?
それは残念。さようなら醜い雑種。
I feel like this series really limits her to either motivational speaker or damsel in distress. At least the showdown between Shiro and Alan is exciting as hell.
純血種でもない君に神の遠吠えができるはずがない。
Soon enough, Shiro overpowers Alan, but Alan is showing signs of berserk syndrome. But before our hero delivers the final blow, Michiru again tries to stop him. So he compromises.
俺の中にはあいつの血で抗体ができている。なぜ助けた？俺はもう後悔したくない。
And after all that, her phone loses power, so they have Shiro use Ginro's howl to make everyone in the city howl instinctively.
この瞬間分かった。私とナズナは彼らとは違う。でもシロさんのどうしようもなく悲しくてやるせなくて、それでも誰かのためを思う気持ちが伝わってきて。
And so our story ends with Anima City slowly rebuilding, and all its inhabitants lining up to get the anti-rage syndrome. Nizuna is still an idol, Rose is back to bridge the gap between humans and her kind, and Michiru has decided to stay here, finally at peace with who she has become.
変われるかもな。この街も。
So, BNA's over-the-top spectacle would make Gynax proud, but it had a lot of rough edges. Some of the fantastical racism bits feel either confusing or cliched. Like we've heard this before from some other furry-based media. But putting aside that, the whole genetics thing didn't make a lot of sense. Especially when you add on the immortality crap that Shiro has. And are purebreds like Alan actually immune to Berserk state? Or is that a comforting lie he tells himself? And what about the douchebag Prime Minister? Is he still a hindrance to the Beastmen? Will he get his comeuppance? The show ends before we get an answer. Michiru is a good character who develops a lot during the story, offers a lot of inspiration to others, and while I didn't get to show much of her, she does do a lot in terms of her shape-shifting ability. Yet when she's put into a one-on-one situation, she always seems to lose and has to be rescued by someone, which in a way makes her seem like a weak character compared to Shiro. She's not all bad. I was hoping for a little bit more from her, but I wasn't completely disappointed. But the story just feels unfinished even after such an awesome final battle. It's too bad since there were plenty of good animation moments throughout the series, despite not being as futuristic or dystopian as some other shows. Even the quieter moments were done well, and they show that Studio Trigger isn't limited to just big explosive sequences. What we got isn't all that bad. It just needed a little more polish and more time to really stand out from other furry media. And hopefully after the next season of Beastars, someone will attempt a series that doesn't rely on fantastical racism to put anthros on the screen. And with that, that's all the Patreon requests for this month. Next time, I'm finally going to be talking about Mickey's... Oh. So, how long do I have? Okay. Next time will be the bonus objective. Great.